So a lot of you have been asking me to do filming locations for Encino Man, and I'm actually pretty excited to do these locations because if you try looking them up online, you're not gonna find too much. You'll find Dave's house and the school, and that's about it. So I had to use my knowledge of the San Fernando Valley and do some investigating, but I'm happy to say that I think I found all the locations. Well, almost. Now, although a lot of Encino Man was filmed here in the San Fernando Valley, I'm about to show you that absolutely none of it was filmed here in Encino. So today we're going to take a look at the filming locations for the 1992 comedy Encino Man. Let's go see what we can find. After the entire prehistoric intro of the movie, the first location we see is right here, and it's Dave's house. And a lot of stuff actually happens here in front of Dave's house. Let's go take a look. Well, I'm very happy to report that not much has changed here. This is pretty close to the first shot we get of Dave's house in the movie, and I can't really see anything that's different except for the mailbox that would have been right here in front of where I'm standing. But I don't think that was ever actually here. I'm pretty sure that was put here just for the movie because the real mailbox is right over here, and you can actually see that later in the movie, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. We get quite a few different establishing shots of Dave's house with cars driving by and night shots and day shots, but they're all pretty much this shot right here. So after all the ice melts and Link wakes up, we see the mailman walking up to the house right here to deliver a package, but Link's waiting on the front steps right here with a shovel, and the mailman gets scared and just leaves the package on the shovel and runs off. Right here in front of the house is where Link gets down on his hands and knees to take a drink of water out of the gutter. And we can tell this is the right spot because of these two holes right here. Also right over there in the grass, that rock, it's kind of covered up now by a bush, but you can definitely see that rock in the background while he's getting a drink of water. And right here in front of the house, this is where the trash truck pulls up and totally freaks out Link. This house right over here across the street can be seen very well in that shot. And Link would have been standing right here with the shovel trying to fight off the trash truck. A bit later in the movie, Dave was sitting right there on that wall wondering where Link and Stoney were, and then moments later we see them come riding down the street right here on Stoney's scooter, and they pull right up in front of the house right here, and Stoney tells Dave that he took Link to Mega Mountain to ride the Vapor in reverse. Right here is where we see Matt walking up the driveway, and then he climbs up on top of Dave's car and climbs through Dave's window, which would have been that window right there. Now after Matt does a little dance with the hammock in Dave's room, he accidentally stumbles upon the photos of them thawing out Link. Dave and Stoney hear a noise and they come running down the side of the house right here, and they see Matt getting ready to drive off with those photos. When Matt's backing out of the driveway, you can actually see the real mailbox that belongs to this house. And of course, near the end of the movie, we see all of the limos from the prom driving down the street right here, pulling into Dave's driveway because everybody is coming to an after prom party at Dave's house. And I'm sure Dave's parents were really excited about that, considering Dave was supposed to be grounded and wasn't even supposed to be at prom. Now, what I want to know is, did Dave ever finish that swimming pool? Now, of course, we can't go into the backyard because this is a private residence, so once again, we'll turn to Google Earth. Well, it looks like Dave finally finished the swimming pool. Way to go, Dave. So once again, I'm just really happy to see that Dave's house looks pretty much just like it did in the movie. Now, something that I bet a lot of you don't know is Robin's house is just a couple of doors down to the right. And even though we don't really see too much of Robin's house in the movie, there are a couple of things that you can recognize. We see Matt sitting on these front steps waiting for Robin to come home. And that stone pillar with the lamp on top looks exactly the same. I think that's the exact same lamp. Also, those stone steps look the same, and those stone walls. Now, when Robin's getting dropped off, the camera turns and it's shooting this way, and we do see this house across the street, but it's been remodeled a bit. It still has that 3-car garage, but the garage doors have been updated. And right here, there would have been a wall that they've since removed. So just for reference, that's Robin's house. That's Dave's house. Dave and Stoney attend school, where else? Encino High School. But in real life, there is no Encino High School, so all those scenes were filmed right here at LA Mission College. This building right here is the main one that we see. We're right up there on top. It says Encino High School. When Dave and Stoney are arriving at school, we see them coming down this path right here. Things look a bit different. This parking structure back here was not there at the time, but instead there was a parking lot behind them. Now they would have come from right over here and turned onto this path, headed down this way. And again, things down here look a bit different too. That structure that you see down at the far end, that's no longer there. This clock tower, it was not here at the time. This section of the building wasn't here at the time, but you can see this roof over here, and you can definitely see this building, and you can even see part of the handrail from those stairs. Now they turn off of the path, pulling the scooter onto this grassy area, and then parking it somewhere over here. You can see a bunch of people standing on the other side of that railing over there. You can also see these 3 windows in the background behind them. Dave would have been standing over here when he's staring at Robin, but the background is a bit different. All of these steps wouldn't have been here. This would have just been a grassy hill, and these buildings wouldn't have been here either. You would have had a clear shot of the mountains. The camera's pointing this way again when Stoney's trying to explain to Dave why Robin likes Matt, and he's showing him how Matt walks. On Link's first day of school, we see Link, Dave, and Stoney walking down this path coming towards the building, but again, the structure that used to be in front of this building has since been torn down, so things look a bit different. The camera is shooting through this door, and we see Link walk right into the glass. So once they get Link signed up for school, we see them walking down this hall before turning and walking down these steps. And that's when Link stops and he notices Robin and her friend standing right there in front of that pillar on the right, just to the right of the elevator. And of course, Link does a handstand right here on the railing into a flip before landing right here. Now I tried getting inside this building because I'm about 99% sure that inside here is where we see Matt staple Dave to the wall. But unfortunately, this entire building was completely locked up. But I did peek through the window, and I was kind of shocked to see that they had arcade games. And although they didn't have Radmobile, they did have another driving game, which I thought was just kind of a funny coincidence because you don't even really see arcade games anymore. Link and Dave and Stoney are walking up the steps right here. And as they turn to walk up the second flight of steps, right here is where the 2 rap guys are sitting. Now they continue up this flight of steps, and when they get to the top, Link runs into Kim, who is played by Jonathan Key Kwan, and in case you didn't know, he also played Data in the Goonies. So just pretty cool to think that Mikey and Data from the Goonies are reunited in Encino Man. This 7-Eleven was the convenience store that Link and Stoney head to wheeze the juice. Now everything inside the 7-Eleven doesn't look anything like it did in the movie. The entire store has been rearranged. However, I was able to find this. This is the same employee door and freezers that we see Link and Stoney walking past. So that would mean just to the left of that employee door, that's where the microwave was, where they're heating up the frozen burrito.
2 minutes.
And the view looking out the front door is exactly the same. I can't believe that Yoshinoya is still there. Not only is the Yoshinoya still there, but I just noticed that the photo place right next door can be seen in the movie as well, along with this sign and a little bit of the bank across the street. Now, unfortunately, the video store that we see all the way to the left of our screen is, of course, no longer here. Now, after they leave the convenience store, they head to Mega Mountain to ride the Vapor in reverse. Of course, they're talking about Six Flags Magic Mountain, and the ride they're referring to is Viper. The water ride that we see them on is Roaring Rapids. Unfortunately, it's not running today, so this is the best shot I can give you. We get a really quick shot of Stony in front of the fountains at the front of the park. However, today the fountains and waterfall aren't on because California is in another drought. Now right over here, these are the bird cages that we see Stony and Link running around terrorizing the park mascot. However, this isn't where the bird cages were at the time of filming. I believe they used to be somewhere over here on the other side of that restaurant. Stony, Link, and Dave head to Blades, the local ice skating rink. Now in real life, that was filmed at the Icecapade Chalet at Laurel Plaza. When Matt's pulling Dave out onto the ice, you can see some large paintings on the wall of some mountains, and you can actually find some pictures and videos online of the ice skating rink that was located at Laurel Plaza, where you can see those same paintings on the wall. Now, at one time, Laurel Plaza was a really popular mall in the San Fernando Valley, but due to earthquake damage, they had to tear down the entire mall, including the Icecapade Chalet. And this shopping center now sits where Laurel Plaza used to be. For the driver's training scene, we find ourselves back at LA Mission College. Now this entire area looks a lot different. Most of these buildings weren't here at the time, and this fountain wasn't here at the time. But right here in front of me, this is where all the kids were standing around waiting for their turn to drive the car, and the teacher would have been standing here lecturing all the kids. When Link's looking at the car through his fingers, you can see this building in the background, and you can just barely see where it says Instructional Center. Supposedly inside that building is where Dave and Stony are in class. Now when they look out the window, they see Link getting into the car, but again, this entire area looks a lot different. And when they're looking out the window, you can actually see these tiles that go around the window frame. Dave and Stony come running out of this door right here, trying to stop Link from driving the car. Now as Link's taking off in the car, you can just barely see these stairs in the background behind him. He takes off and he's headed towards this building, but like I mentioned, hey, wait a minute, that's not Sean Astin. Anyways, the structure that was in front of this building has since been torn down. So he would have headed towards this building and then made a left onto that path. He would have continued down this way, and then right over here is where the teacher was standing trying to get him to stop the car, and all of the students were standing right here cheering him on. They then leave the school and they're now driving through the San Fernando Outdoor Mall. So they're heading down the street right here, and if you slow the scene down, you can see them pass right by this building. You can see the brown awning. And then as they head down the street, you can see all of these buildings. This one right here was Super Trader in the movie. They're traveling down this street and move right through this intersection, passing by this sign for the San Fernando Mall and this building on the corner, which at the time was Musica Latina. Dave's mom and sister are stopped right here at this traffic light when they see the car move through the intersection on two wheels. We see the car come around the corner right here, and we see this building and this building, which at the time were both TV and VCR repair shops. And the car comes around the corner and it makes a U-turn right here in the middle of the street and ends up parking right here against the curb. And once they park the car right here, they notice that there's a bar right across the street, and where this church now is, this was that bar. Now, one way that you can tell for sure that this is the correct spot is when they're walking into the bar, you can see the two businesses just to the left of the bar. One of them is Lee's Discounts and the other one is Gloria's Flowers. And if you take a look right there, Gloria's Flowers still exists. Pretty amazing. The museum that they take a school field trip to was actually the Brea Tar Pits. The bus would have been parked right here in front of the building, and then we see Dave, Stoney, and Link get off the bus and walk down this path into the building. It looks a bit different. It's been remodeled a bit, but you can tell this is the right place. Now, a lot of things have changed inside the Brea Tar Pits. Some of the stuff that we see in the movie is no longer here, but I was able to find some of the same things. Now, unfortunately, those saber-toothed tigers that they're standing around are no longer here, but if you take a close look at that mural on the wall, you'll see that it's the same one that you can see behind the students. I was also disappointed to find out that the prehistoric scene where Link has a breakdown is also no longer here. So pretty much the only location I wasn't able to find was the road where Dave tries to leave Link. Although I had some ideas of where it might be, there just weren't enough clues to say for sure. So that's going to do it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.